Imagine having a lens that filters literally everything you see, news, global events, even your own family, and boils it all down to one single epic story, a battle between two kingdoms. Today, we're going to break down exactly what that worldview looks like, how it's put together, and why it leads its followers to a very specific and pretty intense call to action. And at the absolute heart of this worldview is this fundamental conflict. The source material frames pretty much everything as a spiritual battle, a massive struggle between two opposing forces, and each one has a completely different vision for humanity's future. The idea is that every single event, every new idea, it's all seen as serving one of these two kingdoms. So, just to be clear, our goal here isn't to debate this worldview, but really to understand its architecture. We're going to follow the speaker's own logic to see exactly how this powerful framework gets built, piece by piece, so you can see for yourself how it all fits together. Right. So the speaker argues that this whole worldview acts as a filter for everything you experience. And it's all built on the answers to just four foundational questions. Okay, here they are, the four pillars holding this whole thing up. According to the speaker, your answers to these questions, about God, our identity, our basic nature, and what we're ultimately capable of, well, those answers determine which of the two kingdoms you're actually serving, whether you know it or not. Let's break them down. First up, we're going to tackle God and humanity. The answers to these first two questions, they really set the stage for everything that comes after. They define who we are and who or what is ultimately in charge. Okay. So this slide shows you that first critical split in the framework. What are we? Are we divinely created beings, made in God's image with a soul and a real purpose? Or are we, as the other side is described, basically just a biological accident, a random roll of the dice? According to this viewpoint, your answer to that question changes absolutely everything about human value and morality. And here we see the second key contrast, and it's a really stark one. One path says, we believe there is a God, and we are not him. Simple. It establishes a clear creator. The other path, well, as the speaker frames it, it leads to people basically declaring there is no God, or, you know what, yeah, there is a God. It's me. And to make this concept a little less abstract, a little less up in the clouds, the speaker uses this very pointed example. The argument being made here is that when humanity takes actions that intervene in the creation of life itself, it's an attempt to seize the ultimate role of a creator, and in doing so, it's acting out that belief that man is God. So this brings us to the final two questions of the framework, and they're deeply connected. First, are human beings naturally good or evil? And based on that answer, is it even possible to create a heaven on earth through our own actions? This part of the argument explores that ambition to build a perfect world, not through divine will, but through human power alone. The argument here draws a straight line from a famous biblical temptation right to modern global ambitions. The speaker suggests that the exact same promise of ultimate power, that chance to become a god and build your own perfect world, is being offered again today. Just this time, it's through things like technology and global systems. And here are the specific modern examples provided for this path. Whether it's uploading your consciousness so you can live forever or building whole new realities in the metaverse. These pursuits are presented as modern attempts to achieve immortality in creation. These are roles that are traditionally reserved for God, and they're seen as pursuits that are just doomed to fail, because, in this view, they ignore humanity's flawed nature. So, if one side of this framework sees humanity as flawed and just chasing a false paradise, what's the response? This is where the whole argument pivots from diagnosing the problem to prescribing a solution. And it connects everything to biblical prophecies about the future, the end times. And here's the really crucial point of this section. Seeing biblical prophecy unfold is not a signal to retreat and hide. According to the speaker, it's the exact opposite. It's a massive wake-up call to engage with the world more actively, and believe it or not, more optimistically than ever before. This slide, I think, lays it out perfectly, the two opposing responses to that wake-up call. The first one is that temptation of apathy, to withdraw, buy a cabin somewhere remote, and just wait it all out. The other response, the one the speaker champions, is to charge into the arena and be found fighting for your beliefs when it all goes down. And this quote really brings it all home. The argument concludes that this is no time for despair or for sitting on the sidelines. Instead, this current moment is framed as the single most important time for believers to lean in and get engaged with the culture. So we've walked through this whole framework that sorts the world into two opposing kingdoms. It's all based on four core questions, and it ends with this really urgent call to action. It kind of leaves us with a final thought, right? When you adopt a filter this powerful, one that promises to explain everything, how does it actually shape what you see? And maybe more importantly, what might it cause you to miss?